Speakers Club, and Chairman, and everybody else. If you close your eyes a little bit tightly, I may appear to be like Karen. So I will not be curtsying at the end of this. I came out tonight intending to bring some notes with me about something, and I've totally left those behind. But what I did happen to have was a talk that I do every now and again, so I'm going to try and modify it so that we've at least got 3 speakers tonight, so that we can have a vote on it at the end. And one of the things that some of you will know about me is that one of my passions at life is anything to do with beer, breweries, and intoxication. So I thought tonight I'd mention something about the early English pubs. Because although there are taverns and bars all around the world, English pubs are a little bit unique. They're not just places where people go to imbibe in drinks. They, over the years, have also served as libraries, information centres, doctors' surgeries, employment exchange, business centres, restaurants, and even at last week's election, you probably saw that there were reports at least one pub was actually used as a polling station. So they have a much broader use than just being a pub, mainly because they are part of the community. And it's also a fact that we've had pubs for a very long time in this country, longer than we've even had churches. The writings of Samuel Pepys has described the pub as the heart of English, a drinking establishment fundamental to the culture of Britain. So what was the origins of this peculiar British institution? It's a question I'm often being asked, and the best answer we've ever come up with for it, is that the day they invented the first road was the day they invented the first pub. Pubs on the roads go hand in hand. And who can we thank for this? Well, really, it's the Romans. It was the Romans that came over and gave us the roads. It was the Romans that came over and helped us to develop beer. And it was the Romans that gave them the Latin name of taverna, or tavern, as we would now call it. And while the tavern appears to have been met by quite a bit of enthusiasm from the early British, it wasn't all plain sailing. One of the first problems that a lot of drinkers had when they went into a pub is they'd go into the pub with their friend and they'd put up 2 fingers, 2 pints please love, and they kept getting 5. Why on earth should this be? But of course the early barmen were all Romans, and to the Romans a V is 5. Not all plain sailing. Now roads, what was it they all told us about Roman roads? Does anybody remember what they were told at school? What's special about Roman roads?
Straight.
Always straight, that's right. No curves. But they did have intersections. And when they had intersections, you had corners. And on corners, as the country developed, there would be 4 specific P's put on the corner of every crossroad. One of them would be a P for a police station. You'd have a P for a post office or paper shop. You'd have a P for a parish church and a P for the pub. If you were really lucky in your town, you'd have had 4 pubs on the corner. And when I was doing one of these talks one day, I mentioned this fact about that you always had a parish church and a pub on the corner. And one lady stood up and she told me at the end, yes, she said, that is true. But, you know, if the church was called the Virgin Mary, the nearest pub to it was always called the Star. And that's something that's I always thought quite interesting. Now, what else we got? Now the Romans, they were here for about 300 years. And 300 years was quite a long time for a good development of pubs and for a good drinking, strong drinking culture to become a well-established part of the British life. So it will be for the Romans. But when the Romans left after 300 years, whilst they might have given us a very good infrastructure and good roads and good pubs, unfortunately they didn't leave us with a very good defence system. And so over the next few hundred years, poor old Britain was given a going over by nearly everybody you can think of. There was the Jutes and the Danes and of course the Saxons and the Vikings. And everybody knows about the Vikings and their love for ale. I think their whole life was spent around the alehouse in the local village. And so it carried on, and apart from what we would call the Triple S, that's the Saturday Night Saxon Skirmish, take on pubs, life was pretty straightforward for the next 100 years, 600 years. 600 years later, King Edgar came in. Now, does everybody remember King Edgar? Nobody remembers King Edgar. He was a bit of a party pooper. He thought the British drank too much beer. And so he tried to stop the British people drinking beer. And he introduced 3 decrees. That there should only be 1 alehouse to a hamlet, ale had to be sold in standard measures, and the amount you could drink would be limited by decrees. And the problem is, and he identified this by putting a little peg or notch on all the drinking halls or the serving vessels for all the pubs. And the problem was that the people used to now, were told they could only drink down to the next peg, and they have it in a serving vessel with these pegs on, and they should drink down and then pass the vessel on to somebody else to serve their vessel. But the problem was the British rather greedy, so they often took it to the next peg, and that meant that the same we've now got today of being taken down, somebody being taken down a peg or 2. And that's all I've got time for to tell you tonight about the early English pub. Thank you.